What's going on, guys? This is Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I am bringing you a deck that was used in the St. Louis Regionals. Yes, I know that was a long time ago, but I was looking through them trying to find some cool and unique ideas, and I found one. I believe it was in Juniors, although it could have been... it was either in Juniors or Seniors, but it was a Mega Gardevoir deck used by Preston, Ellis. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you guys liked this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, and maybe click that subscribe button. Really helps us out a lot and lets us do more for you guys. And as for the question of the day, if everything goes right and goes according to plan, this will be the last video I do before Guardians Rising comes out and before I start doing my Guardians Rising content. So my question of the day is going to be related to that. What card or what deck are you most excited for coming out of Guardians Rising? Now, I know that there are a bunch of really awesome stuff coming out in that set. I mean, to name a few, like Tapu Lele, Lunala, well, the baby Lunala. Well, that's not really something everybody's excited for. That's just something I'm excited for. But Tapu Lele, Aqua Patch, Field Blower. All of them are incredible cards that are going to have a huge impact on the game, in my opinion. But the card I'm most excited for is a card that I'm not even sure will have much competitive viability at all, and that is going to be the Turtonator. I mean, yeah, I know anybody that has watched me, I think it was me and Aura's review of the new set, of the Japanese set anyway. Just heard me geek out about Turtonator, and I really think that that's just going to be a really cool card. I'm super excited for that thing to come out, and I want to try it out with like Bursting Balloon, Fighting Fury Belt, with Volcanion EX and all that. So Turtonator GX is the Pokemon, or is the card that I'm most excited for coming out of Guardians Rising. Let me know what card you are most excited for in the comment section down below and why. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. But anyway, on to the deck. Yes, I know St. Louis Regionals was a long time ago, but this was such a cool deck idea that I just had to do it. And it's centered around Mega Gardevoir-EX. You guys should know what it does by now, but if you don't, 210 HP, dual type, Fairy and Psychic. These typings are actually really awesome, just because Fairy typing, that's what Gardevoir is mainly, or at least that's what it seems to be mainly, because you do have the weakness and resistance, both indicative of Fairy typing. Steel type is not something that is particularly common, especially in the competitive metagame. And also, the resistance to dark typing is huge, in, especially in Expanded, where a lot of different dark decks are running around, so Gardevoir getting resistance to those as well. But then the Psychic typing helps out a ton against like Mega Mewtwo and other Psychic Pokemon, because you are able to usually one-shot them with a 0 discard Despair Ray, and if you can't just one-shot them with a 0 discard, you can just discard 1 to 2 Pokemon, and that will almost one-shot, well, that should one-shot any Psychic weak Pokemon you have. So, I mean, this card is very awesome. Despair Ray for 2 energy, 1 especially, well, 1 if you were able to have a Dimension Valley in play, so you're able to hit for 110 minimum for a single Fairy energy, which in itself is ridiculous. Then you may discard as many bench Pokemon as you like. This attack does 10 more damage for each Pokemon discarded in this way. That way you can play down things like Shaymin, Hoopa, Jirachi with complete impunity, and you can just immediately discard them, so it's like, okay, I got their effect. Now you're not going to be able to Lysandre them out and use them as free prizes, so you have to take down Mega Gardevoir. So I really like this deck. It has a lot of very nice matchups, and honestly, it's one of the more fun decks that I've used. I still think Mega Rayquaza is the most fun deck I've ever played, but that's just my opinion. So obviously, this deck is centered around getting Pokemon into play for Gardevoir to discard, and being able to just consistently stream Gardevoir, keep it alive, and attacking your opponent's Pokemon. So I'm just going to go through the list as it appears to me. We're running 1 Dragonite for the pull-up ability. I mean, you discard Pokemon with Despair Ray, like discard Shaymins and Dragonites, or Shaymins and Hoopas, play down a Dragonite, you immediately get those things back into your hand so that you can replay them down, use Scoundrel Ring to get more Pokemon out, or you set up for draw support, and heck, you can even pull up a Jirachi and use Stellar Guidance to get another supporter. Just Dragonite has amazing synergy with Gardevoir, so we're running one of those. 1 Rattata for a Mischievous Fang. One thing Mega Gardevoir could have problems with is Fighting Fury Belt. being able to make Pokemon like Volcanion not be able to be knocked out in one hit by a Despair, even a 5 discard Despair. So Rattata is something you can just play down, be like, okay, get rid of that Fighting Fairy Belt, now I only have to go for 2 discard Despair to knock you out, and go from there, and then you can just discard it so your opponent can't get a free prize off it. 3 Shaymin for the draw support, and then just discard them as well. I'm going to be saying discard a lot, just because, I mean, that's what this deck is really all about, is playing Pokemon down, and then discarding them with Despair, so your opponent can't take cheap prizes. 3 Shaymin for draw support, and then we don't have to worry about them on the bench. 3-3 of Gardevoir and Mega Gardevoir. We are running this Gardevoir because of Link Blast for just 2 energy. If you have the same amount of energy as your opponent, you can hit for 100 damage. Just a very solid non-mega attack, and a very cheap one, and also this kind of is the sickest artwork I've like ever seen, but I've already talked about that. This Klefki was a card that I overlooked every single time I was building Mega Gardevoir. In fact, I did not even know this card existed. When I saw Preston's list and I saw this card on there, I was like, what the heck does this do? I have never been happier to be proven wrong about how good a Pokemon is, because this Klefki is freaking amazing. All over the Versus ladder right now in Expanded, I'm running into Dark decks. Klefki's secret key ability, each of your Fairy Pokemon's resistance now is 40. So all of a sudden, Darkrai's are hitting Mega Gardevoir. I say Darkrai, but this applies to like Zoroark and any other Dark type. All of a sudden, they're hitting you for significantly less damage. Mind Jack is all of a sudden, like, you can play down another Pokemon. Mind Jack's not doing as much. Dark Pulse, you're essentially getting rid of 2 darkness energies when they attack, because the resistance of being 40 instead of 20. I love this guy. It has helped out in so many different dark matchups, and I just love it. It's so good, and yeah, I mean, I'm geeking out about it. But hopefully I get a matchup against a dark deck to where you can see how much work that single Klefki can put in. Another card we're running is Exeggcute with the Propagation ability. Perfectly synergizes with Gardevoir. Throw it into the discard pile, and then you can just put it right back into your hand if it's in the discard pile. Helps out with the discard effects of like Computer Search and Ultra Ball, but also at the same time, it's just a Pokemon that you can bring back in, slap down, and discard it with Despair. It's a free 10 damage. Absolutely no drawback to using this guy as really just, well, there's no drawback to using this guy with the Despair in mind, just because, I mean, you bring it back up, play it down, discard it. It doesn't clunk up anything, and it actually helps out in a lot of different situations. 2 Jirachi to be able to just search out a supporter when we need it. 2 Hoopa to get Pokemon EX out, just fill up our bench, get the abilities from the Pokemon, and then just discard them with Mega Gardevoir. As for the items, 1 Computer Search, just get us whatever we want when we need it. 2 Escape Rope really disrupts our opponent if they Lysandre out Dragonite or Hoopa before I'm able to discard them. That could be a problem because these guys do have a pretty hefty retreat cost, and we don't run any float stones in this deck. Escape Rope not only can get them out of the active spot, but bring in something your opponent might not necessarily have wanted brought out, like you can bring out a Shaymin that they put on a bench, or a Hoopa, or something else that they're just trying to keep in the back. Great disruption, great switching tool. 3 Max Potion. This is awesome. I have run into a ton of situations where I have a Dimension Valley down, my opponent is unable to one-shot Mega Gardevoir, so I'm able to just Max Potion, heal up my Mega Gardevoir, and then play an energy right back down into Despair. Great synergy with the combination of even Mega Turbo as well. But just the combination of Dimension Valley and Max Potion really makes Mega Gardevoir last a very long time and allows it to consistently hit even while using Max Potion. Mega Turbo lets us attack turn 2, or just combination Max Potion, then Mega Turbo, heal off the damage and still get the energy back on. 1 Super Rod, just in case the Karen and Dragonite don't do enough for getting our Pokemon back in the deck, or getting them back to where we can use them. 4 Ultra Ball guarantees gets us what we want when we want. 4 VS Seeker to reuse all of our supporters. Then as for the supporters, we are running a metric crap ton of supporters, but all of them are extremely useful. 3-1 of N and Sycamore just for straight up draw support. Colress because you have many different ways of filling up your bench with like Hoopa, Dragonite, Shaymin, Exeggcute. I mean, there are so many different ways to fill up your bench to where Colress is like, well, I can just go ahead and get like a 10-card Colress and then discard all those Pokemon, so I take advantage of Colress while not having the useless Pokemon on my bench. So a very good card in this deck. 1 Ghetsis for disruption on our opponent. Because we have a couple Jirachi, we can pretty easily search for Ghetsis. 2 Hex Maniac to help out against the Item Lock or Vileplume Decidueye decks that are very popular and expanded right now. 1 Karen to put the Pokemon back into our deck after we have discarded them with Despair Ray. And then 1 Skyla. I've actually found that I end up using Skyla the majority of the time for either a Spirit Link or a Dimension Valley. But, I mean, that's just me. That's just my experience with Skyla. You can also use it to grab Computer Search. Really just whatever trainer you need. 4 Spirit Links. Now, I was very confused when I first saw this. I was like, wait, we only have 3 Mega Gardevoir. Why would we run 4 Spirit Links? Well, that's because, unlike Mega Rayquaza, we can't evolve turn 1, so we need a Spirit Link to be able to evolve and not waste our turn. I am very glad that there are 4 Spirit Links in this deck, because, I mean, that's... You really do... You know what? Start over. I am glad that there are 4 Spirit Links in this deck, because I've found that, especially without Trainer Mail in this deck, getting Spirit Links is actually kind of difficult in certain situations when you really want them, and then with tool removal in the expanded tier with Startling Megaphone, your Spirit Links do get discarded. So having 4 of them, having 4 Spirit Links helps get you them when you want them, but also gives you the chance for still 3 Mega Gardevoir if some of them happen to get discarded. And then 7 Fairy Energy, only 7 because really we want to be Despair Raying for a single energy. However, we can attach another one when we need to, and 2 energy is by no means hard to pull off. So yeah, that is the deck. Very, very cool. A lot of awesome tech cards. I'm excited to show this off to you guys, but let's go ahead and see it in action. Alrighty, we have found one against a Tom RX with a fire. I mean, it would look like a Volcanion deck, except I don't see any water energy or any water types, so it can't be a Volcanion deck, but it's a fire. I don't know. Either way, we do get to go first. Start off with not good stuff. Unfortunately, gonna have to start with Dragonite. I mean, if I can switch out or have a Floatstone or something like that, I can put it on the bench and then discard it, but actually it looks like we're up against a Mega Charizard deck. So that is pretty cool, to say the least. I mean, my hand is just so bad. I mean, I will be able to Hex Maniac to keep my opponent from, like, Shaymin-ing, Hoopa-ing, that type of thing. But I'd really prefer a draw supporter turn 1, or at least have stuff that can combo into other stuff turn 1. So, hoping that that's not too much to ask for. Luckily, we do get a mulligan card. Oh, thank the Lord. So we get a Professor Sycamore off the mulligan. I'm just going to go ahead and Hoopa, grab probably a... Yeah, you know what? Let's just grab a couple Gardevoir and a Jirachi. Yeah, let's go ahead and grab a couple Gardevoir and a Jirachi. That way I can get a supporter that won't discard literally everything. So let's go ahead and put that onto the Gardevoir. Play down the Jirachi. Let's search our deck for one of these supporters, and then let's just grab... Let's grab a Ghetsis. Hopefully I can draw into a couple good cards, and then also put my opponent... Set my opponent back a little bit. Get a whopping 2. So, not the greatest. And that's going to set me back. So I probably should have just gone with the... I probably should have just gone with a Sycamore and then gotten rid of the Hex Maniac and stuff like that. But my opponent does put a DCE onto a Shaymin, and he ends me. I'm 100% okay with this. I am completely okay with my opponent ending me, especially because this is actually a very nice hand. Because what I can do is potentially donk my opponent. That's nice. If I get the right cards, I can donk my opponent. So what I'm going to do, play the Spirit Link onto the Gardevoir, play the regular energy onto it as well, play the Jirachi down, grab a Sycamore, and if I can get an Escape Rope and a Mega Gardevoir, I will win. Or not, if I can get a way to get my Dragonite out of the active, I will win. So let's go ahead and Sycamore away my hand, get rid of all those cards. And unfortunately, I don't get anything. I don't get anything that'll allow me to get my Dragonite out of the active. So what I'm gonna do is, yeah, you know what? I'll just end my turn by playing down another Mega Gardevoir. I mean, it ends my turn, but there was nothing I could do with the Dragonite anyway. So unfortunately, we do not get the donk because I could not get that stupid bulky Dragonite out of my active spot. So a bit unfortunate right there. My opponent is gonna end me again? Huh. I mean, I'm okay with that because, I mean, while my hand was decent, I would rather have that stuff back in my deck. And plus, this does give me an extra card, an extra way to get my Dragonite out of the active spot. And I draw a computer search, so that Dragonite's gone. I'm getting that sucker out of the active spot so quickly. Unfortunately, my opponent does start to get some stuff going. Hoopas for another Charizard and a Shaymin. I mean, he will start to be able to power up a Charizard this turn, which is a little bit scary. But I mean, hey, it does happen. I missed the donk, so that's, well, I'm not saying a donk like as in before my opponent plays. Okay, I'm using the term donk incorrectly. I missed the ability to win the game by benching out my opponent there. That's more accurate. My opponent does play Shrine of Memories. That's interesting. I mean, it lets Charizard, I guess, use Combustion Blast, but what my opponent is going to do here is just Power Heater, power up a Charizard, and we'll go from there. So I do draw into a Dimension Valley. Let's just play the energy, or let's just play the Computer Search, get rid of the energy in one of the Dimension Valleys, grab that stupid Escape Rope. And that thing is haunting me way too much. Let's just energy up the Gardevoir, play down the Dimension Valley, Escape Rope, see what my opponent brings up. I mean, I hope he brings up a Charizard, that way I can start knocking that thing down. But he brings up the Hoopa, so he's going to give me a prize. Let's promote the Gardevoir with the single energy, that way if my opponent somehow gets a Mega Charizard up next turn, with like a Blacksmith and a DCE, he will knock out my Gardevoir, but even if he counters my Stadium, I'll still have another one next turn. And I could just Sycamore and take the 2 prizes, but I think that Mega Charizard, I mean, that Mega Charizard isn't going to go down in one hit from my Gardevoir no matter how I slice it. So I think the play for the time being is just go ahead and Despair Ray, get rid of 4 Pokemon. Actually, you know what? Let's only get rid of 3. Oh, yeah, I mean, get rid of... Sorry, let's get rid of all 4 Pokemon. I don't know what I was thinking right there. My opponent does counter my Stadium. I knew he had the Shrine of Memories, and yet I got rid of... I'm dumb. Guys, I'm dumb. My opponent will be able to Battle Compressor. Probably gets 3 more fire. Man, you're putting a lot of fire in the discard pile. Will be able to Blacksmith on his Charizard and Wing Attack, so I'm in a bad position right now. I have to draw into an energy or something, and wow, that is a beautiful top deck. So I'm going to just put the energy onto the Gardevoir, propagate my Exeggcute, because might as well put a little bit of extra damage on the board. I mean, an Exeggute's one that you can just continually recycle, continually slap down, and continually discard. So might as well have tried to get more damage. I should have just gone for the Despair Ray to knock out my opponent's Mega Charizard and taken 2 prizes because he just scoops before I'm able to get the damage off. And as you can see, I'm doing the Psychic Damage Daily Challenge. So a bit unfortunate. I mean, unfortunate that we weren't able to get that extra hit off, but not unfortunate that we were able to win that match. So, I mean, wasn't against the most competitive deck, but still one that could have caused me problems if they got set up. But either way, glad we were able to pull that out. Let's go ahead and try to find another one with this deck. Alrighty, we have found another one against Edward's Show with a Dark and Normal deck. So if this is a Turbo Darkrai deck, this is going to be an interesting matchup. And we do lose the coin flip, meaning we will go second, which is not good for this deck because you can't attack first. You really just can't. And wow, I'm glad I drew the Klefki turn 1 because that thing is going to be gigantic in this matchup. I mean, that thing really is. I mean, it straight up cancels out a Dark Energy that my opponent has on the board. Like, that's how strong it is. And the minus 40 makes a lot of the math in my favor on a lot of different attacks. I mean, heck, anything that makes attacks do less is welcome. So Klefki will be very big in this matchup. Sorry, I just had to go try to plug in my phone, and so if my voice went away for a second, that is why. But either way, we do see the Zorua and the Darkrai come down, so, well, EXP share 100% a Turbo Dark deck. I was about to say 100% a Dark deck, and, well, no Dust Sticks, but 100% a Turbo Dark deck. Oh boy, my opponent even gets 2 Darkness into the discard pile and a Fighting Fury Belt. It puts it on the Zorua, so I'm kind of glad he played the EXP share onto his Darkrai turn 1. That way he couldn't play the Fighting Fury Belt onto it, because Darkrai actually does resist Mega Gardevoir. So, I mean, that's just a little kind of funny interaction right there. But what I am going to go ahead and do right now, Ultra Ball, get rid of the Karen and the Mega Turbo, just because I really don't think I'm going to necessarily need the Mega Turbo, per se, in this matchup. Let's grab... What do I want to grab? I mean, I have the Hoopa to get EXs. So I think the play is to go ahead and grab a Jirachi. That way I can at least just, like, grab Shaymin and then a couple Gardevoir or something like that. So let's grab Shaymin and just one Gardevoir, I think. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Hindsight 2020, I probably could have grabbed something that wasn't an EX with my Ultra Ball, but I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Let's go ahead and Shaymin, see if we can get a couple decent cards, and we actually do. So let's play the energy onto my Gardevoir. I have a Karen in the discard pile. I could play the Jirachi to get a Sycamore, and I think... Actually, you know what? Let's go for a Colress. Do I want a Hex Maniac? Let's Colress, because that is a Shuffle Draw 7. And I mean, I might as well keep my Super Rod and my VS Seeker, as well as another Gardevoir for later. I mean, there's not necessarily any downside in... Wow. Well, I heard you like Mega Gardevoir, so I decided to just give you a ton of them. I mean, I'm not complaining. That's completely fine with me. It's something that I can definitely work with, especially with the 2 Spirit Links that I have. I will have to watch a little bit out for the Mind Jack, which could be kind of a problem and kind of something that could put me in a bad spot, because that will be a non-EX attacker that I can't even knock out in one hit with a non-discard Despair Ray. So I will have to at least discard one Pokemon. On the bright side, I mean, Klefki, of course, will come in huge. And no! No! Ah, crap. I liked all my Mega Gardevoirs. They were in my hand when I wanted them. Oh, boy. Oh, that's sad. That is so sad. Oh, I had all the Mega Gardevoirs I could want. And even more. They were like, you know what? We know you like Mega Gardevoirs, so we're just going to give you... We're going to give you them in your hand for the turn that you want him. But JK, your opponent's going to play an N. And so you just have to watch them slowly slip away. Oh, that's such a tease. On the bright side, my opponent, I mean, he's getting somewhat set up, but he's not getting anything like particularly scary or particularly dangerous setup. So I'm not too worried at this point. I mean, I still have my Ultra Balls for Mega Gardevoirs next turn. So I mean, it's not, all is not completely lost. My opponent does just decide to Moonless Madness. That's kind of interesting, and I do. Ooh, I get a Computer Search, I get a Sycamore. What do I want to grab? So I think this is just going to be a very resource-intensive turn. So I'm going to go ahead and Computer Search, get rid of the Hoopa and the Gardevoir, grab a VS Seeker, and then I'm going to Ultra Ball, get rid of the Ultra Ball and the Sycamore. I mean, I'm saving the Max Potion because I think that will be the biggest card in this matchup. Let's grab a Mega Gardevoir, play that down, and then now I can go ahead and Colress for a cool 8 cards. Hopefully I'll draw into at least one Energy or a Max or a Mega Turbo, and well, I draw into exactly one. I mean, that works, but not exactly what I wanted, but it works. So let's go ahead and Despair Ray, get rid of the Hoopa, the Shaymin, and the Jirachi. I didn't need to, but I honestly just want to get those off the board so my opponent's Mind Jack doesn't do nearly as much as it would. Yes, it might have been the smarter play to save the energy, or to save the extra 10 damage for later, but in all honesty, I think that the ultimate better play was to just get those off the board so my opponent isn't able to Mind Jack for a ton of damage. My opponent is going to go ahead and end me down to 5 cards. I mean, like, I liked my hand and it was workable, but, well, especially with this hand. This hand is very nice as well, because what I can do is, as long as my opponent doesn't counter my Stadium, what I will be able to do is Max Potion up my Mega Gardevoir, Ultra Ball for like a Shaymin or something like that, and then play down another energy and go from there. So Max Potion is going to be very important in this matchup. And then look at that, Klefki coming through ridiculously clutch. Only 60 damage. You know, I'm not even sure if I want to... I don't know. Do I want to go ahead and waste my Max Potion? Because my opponent's going to have an incredibly tough time knocking this Gardevoir out next turn. So what I think I'm going to do is let's just go ahead and Ultra Ball grab... Could grab a Dragonite. Could grab a Dragonite for some extra to get the Pokemon back. But what I think I'm going to do is let's just go ahead and Exeggcute. Play that sucker down. I mean, just have something that I can continually Despair Ray. Help with the resistance math that my opponent has. Play the energy onto my Mega Gardevoir. Let's hold on to the Max Potion for next turn. Go ahead, hit the Darkrai for 100 damage. Just be able to hit it for another Despair Ray next turn. Save the Max Potion. That way, I mean, I should be able to draw into a Mega Turbo or an Energy or something off this Sycamore. And I want to get the best use out of my Max Potion. So right now, my hand is phenomenal. I'm going to sit on it. My opponent is actually, he was lulled into going for the Sycamore instead of the N just because I did not play a supporter for that turn. So, I mean, that had the added benefit of saving my resources and making my opponent discard some Darkness Energy. Although, to be fair, if he's running Dark Patch, then that's exactly where he wants the energy. I mean, we haven't seen it yet, though. So that is very curious. I'm wondering if my opponent is even running it. Because you'd think... I mean, my opponent's down to 16 cards. You'd think we'd at least have seen one Dark Patch at one point or another. But either way, I mean, I'm rolling with it. My opponent does play Oranguru. Doesn't play Shaymin, apparently. I mean, Oranguru is a decent budget version of Shaymin. It's just literally... I mean, not nearly as strong. Literally half as strong. Well, not... Actually, not even literally half as strong because, I mean... Yes, 3 cards is half a 6. But you'll be in a lot less situations where you can abuse Oranguru for a decent amount of cards than you will be with Shaymin. Because, I mean, if you have 2 cards in your hand, you'll only be able to use Oranguru for 1 card, while you'll be able to use Shaymin for 4. And my opponent is just going to Escape Rope. I mean, I'll just go into my other Gardevoir. That's fine. And my opponent will be able to hit me for a good amount of damage with a Dark Pulse at this time. But now... He now is able to 2-hit KO me with Dark Pulse. However, I have the Max Potion. So, I'm going to go ahead and play that. Glad I saved it. Because that Gardevoir... I mean, just the fact that the damage was spread out among my Gardevoirs was a pretty big deal. So, let's go ahead and play that. We get the energy, which is very nice. So, I'm going to go ahead and play that down. And Despair Ray onto my opponent's Darkrai. I mean, I could bring the Exeggcute back. But because there's no way my opponent's going to be able to put a Fighting Fury Belt onto his Darkrai, I'm not particularly... I mean, yeah, I guess he could potentially do a kind of shenanigans with, like, Tool Scrapper and Fighting Fury Belt, but I really don't... I really don't think he'd do that. I don't think he'd just sacrifice a Tool Scrapper and an EXP share just to make that play. But, I mean, hey, I've seen crazier stuff happen. But, I mean, yeah, that's why... I mean, I definitely could have just gone ahead and slapped down the Exeggcute, because it's like, oh, hey, it's just a couple extra clicks. But, you all know me. You know I'm lazy. So I just really didn't feel like doing that. So, I decided to just go ahead and set the Darkrai up for an easy 2-hit KO for this coming turn. My opponent does get another Max Elixir, and I mean, that's so strange that he's running a Turbo Dark deck in Expanded without Dark Patch. I mean, that's just... It almost makes me wonder if my opponent clicked the wrong format when he was going into the match. But I mean, don't get me wrong, this is still a very good match. Like, this is still a very close match. But I think that my opponent would actually be in a much better position if he did have, say, like, like, Computer Search and Dark Patch and stuff like that. Because Klefki... Wow, Klefki is just so huge right now. What I am going to do is Ghetsis, try to get a card out of my opponent. Does he play team? He plays Team Flare Grunt? What the heck? I do top deck a Super Rod, so that's pretty nice. Let's go ahead and put back Hoopa, Shaymin, and... Do I want to put back an energy? Nah, there's enough in my... let's go ahead and put back another Hoopa. That way I just have more outs to getting, like, inadvertent draw support. And I mean, now I'm going to go for the Exeggcute just because I'm not... Let's just do it. I mean, the more I talked about it, the more I was like, you know what? That was literally just me being lazy. So I might as well just go ahead and do that. Let's Despair Ray, allow my opponent to take a knockout. He will be able to KO this Mega Gardevoir next turn, but I wanted to be able to take a knockout on the Darkrai, and then I also have another Mega Gardevoir in the back that I can play down, that I can attack with later. So it's not the end of the world if my opponent does knock out this Mega Gardevoir. I mean, he will be able to knock it out with the Darkrai. Sorry if you guys can hear my chair right there. I really need to oil it. But he will be able to knock me out with his Darkrai right here. But I will be able to respond immediately with a Mega Gardevoir, who will be able to take 3 energy off the board. My opponent does not have any more EXP shares in play, so I don't have to worry about any of the energy being saved. And yeah, so we are at a point. My opponent has a ton of energy on board. He has 8 energy. That would be normally be doing 180. It's only doing 140 thanks to Klefki. And wow, that I was questioning it admittedly a little bit in the beginning, but that one Klefki is really coming through huge. Wait, my opponent's going into Zoroark. Does he know? Wait. Does my opponent know that he's not going to be able to knock me out? Apparently not. He's just going to Mind Jack. Wow. Wow, that was huge. Oh, man. My opponent clear... Wow, Klefki. Jeez. I mean, I was singing your praises just a moment ago, but wow, that... Man. That was the difference between a knockout and not. Right there. Just complete difference. Like, that was huge. What I am going to do is just go ahead and Colress, see if I can get some... I mean, just some better cards. I will be able to knock out this Zoroark with a 1 discard Despair Ray. And I do get my Shaymins and my Hoopa, so that's pretty nice. What I can do... I even have a Dimension Valley for next turn. So, I mean, I'm going to have to take one prize later in the game anyway. So let's go ahead and play the Shaymin for 1, see if we can get... I mean, maybe if we can get something that works. Okay. What I can do is... I mean, I could do a fancy play, Mega Turbo, and then retreat, and then discard my other Gardevoir, but, I mean, no use. No need to do that. I'm down to 3 prizes. Even if my opponent knocks out this Gardevoir, he still has to knock out 2 more EXs to win the game. Meanwhile, I have the Lysandre. I have a bunch of Shaymins. I have so many outs to be able to knock out my opponent's Darkrai next turn. It is in range of even a 0 discard Despair Ray. So I think that I pretty much have this game on lock at this point. I mean, he will be able to hit me for a very good amount of damage. Even if he Lysandres up the other Gardevoir, that's not a big deal. Because, I mean, I'd still have one Gardevoir that's able to win the game. So, yeah, we are going to be able to win this game right here. Gardevoir is going to be able to knock out my opponent's Darkrai. And I got greedy again, guys. I got greedy. I was trying to go to fill up my bench and then hit for the most damage with Despair Ray. But, unfortunately, my opponent just decided to drop out. So, yeah, didn't quite finish the daily challenge, so very unfortunate right there. That 200 damage between those 2 games probably would have put me over the hump. So, PSA, if you're trying to finish a daily challenge, take the damage when you can get it. Don't try to get greedy when you have the game won, because your opponent will just scoop, and you'll be sitting there like me being like, that was 200 damage just left on the board. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to finish that a little bit later, but for the time being, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Preston, congratulations on your success, and way to build such an awesome deck. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff for you guys, and this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.